What's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 11 of the FILA Sports Podcast. That is the Forever I Love Atlanta Sports Podcast. Two hometown guys talking hometown sports, but you're welcome to chime in with your team's opinions, facts, or whatever. I'm Coach Mario. My co-host is Don. What's going on, man?
What's good, you guys? This is the Don. How y'all doing this evening? I know normally we do our shows on Sundays, but we're gonna get back in the rotation of doing things. Today we're gonna be talking about some Hawks basketball. We know last night the season ended, and we got a special guest on with us today. So and we appreciate the love and support from you guys. I know the past week our channel has been growing, our content has been growing. Views numbers are pretty much has been increasing a lot, and we really appreciate you guys. We really do. So keep supporting us, and we're going to continue bringing out great content for you guys to listen to. Me and Mario, like I said, we've been replicate anybody out there. We just two hometown guys who love to talk about our sports teams. That's pretty much it. So if you listening to this video, you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Please hit that like button, and please comment and share with other people who also have this same taste in sports. So come holla
at your hometown sports podcast.
We're gonna get this thing right in unison. I think we really need to just go off script one day and just practice that slow.
We're gonna have to do something. Hey, we're gonna have to go through drills. We got a guest.
I have a vision.
We got a guest with us today on our show. You always get to introduce yourself. So, Brad, tell them who you are, what you're about, and where they can find your content at.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Brad Rowland. I'm over at Peachtree Hoops, and I host the Locked on Hawks podcast. Also do some Brave stuff over at Talking Chop, and been an Atlanta sports fan for, I don't even remember how long, 25, 30 years now. So good to be on. I appreciate y'all having me.
Hey, before we start this show, Brad, and I'm glad I had you on, tell my co-host what college team you like.
Oh, I'm a Michigan fan. My dad played there. I grew up in a Michigan house, and that's just, even though I've lived here for most of my life, I grew up in an amazing blue house, so that's where I'm going to be repping.
Hey, you said my dad played there.
He did.
Okay, I mean that's a good reason for being a fan of them. If you are a guy who grew up in Southeast Atlanta, never went anywhere close to Michigan until you became near an adult, how do you just pick?
Yeah, no, I was pretty much still in diapers.
I'm a Georgia Bulldogs fan. I'm a Georgia Bulldogs fan. I don't have anything against Tech. I like Tech, but I'm a Bulldogs fan. This is Bulldog country. Let's move on. Because I can talk college football all day. I can talk college football all day.
I'm gonna be outnumbered Sunday. I'm gonna be outnumbered Sunday, but you outnumbered today. Just know that.
Yeah, like I said, Brad. All right, like I said, don't get me started talking college sports or college football. All right, so we'll, as we always do before we jump into the main topic, we'll run through the last few days in local sports. Atlanta United, they've been off since we they play Saturday. Their next match is this coming Saturday. So they've been off so much, not much going with United. We hope that we can rest up and now our tired legs, and we can come back and we can generate some offense when we come back on Saturday.
Yes. All right. So let's talk about a little Falcons football. I'm trying not to get too emotional in this. I'm trying to hit it and quit it. Adrian Claiborne, he's back with the team with a 1-year deal. The numbers haven't been disclosed yet, so we'll find that out, I guess, later on. probably in the next week or two. Now, the team has also worked out former Falcon Rasheed Hageman. I'm pretty sure some of you guys remember him from 2015 and 2016 when we had our Super Bowl run. He played decent with us during that time, and I guess he got into some trouble, and we had to release him. But I guess the team is showing interest in, I guess, bringing him back. But it's just a workout. I don't really think we're going to bring him back. It's just, an insurance policy just in case we don't get the guy we want to draft. Saints defensive tackle Tyler Davison. We worked him out as well. So I think he did. I think he did great. I'm not gonna throw shade on the Saints, but he played well with the Saints in the run defense because they was, I think, ranked in the top 5 in run defense last season, and that's great. That's great because it was anchored by him. Preseason schedule has been released, so you guys can go onto our. We have a Facebook page now. Follow us on Facebook. The description is in the link is in the description, and look at our Twitter page. So the preseason has been set. We have 5 games this year, 5 because we're going to be playing in the Hall of Fame game. All right, against we played in the Hall of Fame game.
The Broncos.
Yeah, Broncos. Yeah,
Broncos.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we got 5 games this preseason. That's great because that'll give Dan Quinn and the other coaching staff plenty of time to evaluate the talent. Falcons have went up to Boston College looking for prospects.
You had to bring that up.
Did I just no? Haven't I been saying all along, Zach Allen?
You've been a Zach Allen guy since the last regular season game. You've been a Zach Allen guy. I will give you that. You've been a Zach Allen guy. Vaughn
McClure from ESPN, one of the beat writers for the Falcons. He pretty much said that the Falcons are up there in Boston College, and they worked out Zach Allen and also Chris Listrom, I guess the offensive tackle. So, hey, we may end up drafting Zach Allen second round. Unsexy pick, but hey, he will come in, he will do his job. I promise you. From the film I looked at. All right. So I guess we done talking about Falcons football. What the Braves do this week, Coach?
We finally started rolling. Got the bats cranked up a little bit. Sunday we won. We had the Miami Marlins. It's still weird to say that now. We won that one 4-3, and then we took it up to Colorado and we hit the baseball pretty good up there, and we won 6-8, and we had a game postponed Tuesday in Colorado. It was pretty cold. Had a little snow going on. Just checked the score a few minutes ago, and we were losing 3-2 tonight. We have the Mets. We were down 3-2. I saw Ronald had Cunha had a RBI, and Freddie Freeman had scored a run. I just put on Twitter too. We have to come up with a nickname for Ronald Cunha. Got to come up with a nickname. And other Braves news today, we signed Ozzie Albies to an extended contract, $35 million for 7 years. First reactions are everybody like, well, man, that seems a little cheap. He seems like a budding, especially with the Braves, with the contracts in baseball. But I guess that's a contract for another time. And like I said, right now, we were in the 4th. I think we're in the 5th now, and the score is 3-2, and we're down.
One thing about the Ozzie Albies contract, he took a hometown.
I don't believe in the hometown discount.
I don't need
another show for another time.
That's more money. That's more money for the Braves to spend.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Like I said, we've been talking about the bullpen for a long time.
And my job when I negotiate, I usually don't ask about, hey, can we make sure Susie and Tim get paid too? It's just not what I do at my job, but on to basketball. So I guess we can Hawks and segue on into what the Hawks do this week. Done.
All right. So we had 2 games this week. We played the Bucks on Sunday, and we lost that game. One, they scored 115, and we scored 107. Yesterday we played our last game, and Turn Prince, he looked like on the clock, and I guess the Pacers they came back and they shot, and then they won the game by 1 point, 135 to 134. So yesterday was our last seasonal game for the season, and we really see a lot of potential, a lot of hope for this young Hawks team. We just need just a few pieces here and there, and I think next year is going to be very exciting to see them play. So with that being said, Brad, we got a question for you. Hawk season is over, off season starts. So the big question everybody wants to know, all right, will we splash a top free agent this summer?
I would have to say probably not, only because there are only a handful of those guys, and you kind of already, not that you know where they're going to go, but you kind of have an idea of where these guys are going to go. KD's got the Knicks rumors out there. Kawhi's got the Clippers rumors out there. Kyrie probably goes back to Boston, and of course he wouldn't really fit in Atlanta anyway with Trae Young. So like the best of the best guy, Klay Thompson's a free agent, but he's going to probably stay in Golden State. The best of the best guys probably aren't going to come just because they're not going to go anywhere other than where they're going to probably already go in the first place. And if I'm the Hawks, I probably don't want to spend a ton of money on like the next tier of guys. I mean, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, but I think in terms of top tier guys, I would probably say this is not the summer for it. It wouldn't stun me if they tried anyway. They're probably going to try to get a meeting with Kevin Durant or try to get a meeting with Kawhi. But if I had to guess, I would probably say no. They'll go with a little bit more of a low key route and let the young guys kind of cook a little bit.
Okay.
I think the next 2 summers will be. I think that Trae and John come back next year with a nice rookie. I think if we basically bring in a nice rookie next year, have a nice nucleus, I think next summer or the next summer after that, I think we can land the big time guy.
Yeah, that sounds more. That's probably more realistic, just because of the fact that these guys won't have already kind of planted their flag. And I think that the Hawks will be better next year, which will allow. It's tough for a free agent. I know the future is really bright in Atlanta, and kind of everybody knows that. But until a team really starts winning, it could be hard to lure a free agent. And I know the Hawks just won a little bit better. They were playing better at the end of the year, but still only won 29 games. So once they sort of prove it for another year, that could be a little bit easier to get those top guys to kind of buy in and want to come.
And Bays' contract will be up, right?
And Plumlee's contract. They're going to have a lot of cap space.
The contract of death.
Yeah, a lot of cap space in 2020 for sure.
I want to welcome Smitty Sports Machine. Thanks for joining us this evening. Also, Jonathan Foskey, thanks for joining us. And Smitty said, I would like Tobias Harris to sign here. He said he's a solid front court guy. Clay would be a perfect fit.
I would like that too.
That GA Boy 17.
I would like that too, because right now I think that would be certainly an upgrade over Bays and Bembry. Tobias Harris, that certainly he's a bigger body, can run the floor. I mean, that would sound great to me.
Yeah, I think he's probably going to end up staying in Philly, but he is a free agent, and he's and one of the big things for me is that he's young. What the Hawks probably shouldn't do is give a bunch of money to a guy that's already kind of at the end of his prime, like somebody who's already like 29, 30, just because of where the Hawks are. But Harris is young enough where he would actually make some sense. So that's somebody that maybe if they were trying to get into the market a year early, I guess this summer he would be a name that would make some sense.
I'm just that guy. I'm just that guy. I don't see us getting the top pick. I guess I'm just a pessimist. I just don't see it. I see
the same thing. I would say
Patrick Ewing all over again. The Knicks or somebody, those little big market teams. I mean, I don't see it this year.
I'd rather see us getting either 2 or 3rd. We're gonna get the 2nd or 3rd pick. That's what I'm saying. Because it just history tells us, like, have we ever got the 1st overall pick?
Not in modern time. No, it was. You have to go back a long, long way. And the Hawks, it's that the lottery odds are super flat this year. So in theory, you'd have a better chance than you used to have. But still, it's only like 10% for the Hawks to get the number one pick. And, as you kind of mentioned, if you grew up here, if you kind of know the history.
Everybody keeps screaming Zion Williamson. If we get the first round, if we get the first overall pick, I'm going to be happy. I'm going to be jumping up, and I'm going to say, yes, we finally could build a dynasty here. Because everybody fell in love with Zion Williamson this past season. And I really think he will be a great asset to the team. And he will bring a lot of eyes and a lot of he has that superstardom type of he's that athlete. He's gonna bring a lot of attention to the city.
Can you imagine Zion running with John Collins, the way John Collins can run the floor, and Trey and Kevin able to space and spot up for threes? Like, man, I can't wait for 2K20.
That's dangerous, man. You talking about highlight factory for all these years?
Yes.
Man, this is really gonna be the highlight factory right here.
I mean, we'll be dunking and shooting threes. No 2 points. No jump shots. Everything will be a 3-pointer.
And another thing, too, people keep thinking about Zion. People got to take into consideration. The boy can play some defense, and that's what we need.
Oh yeah, he'd be perfect in every way. I mean, you have Trey's, one of the best passers in the league, and then you give him two guys he can throw lobs to, in Zion and Collins. And Zion's defense, like you said, is really good. He'd be a perfect fit. And by the way, he'd also get people excited. That's the big thing about Hawks fans, is that they can sometimes not be great at showing up. But if you get Zion, I think the building will be full too. It'll be loud in there. That'll be a lot of fun too.
Zion, Trey, John Collins are the type that'll make season ticket holders spike. That might make me go purchase one of those little 10, 20 game packs or something. Like, that'll be something that I would be definitely interested in. Back when we had Josh and Joe and Bibby.
Yeah. It's funny because that GA boy 17, he just said, so Josh Smith wasn't Highlight City. He was, but
he was, but it was
Zion. It's just like
3 or 4 guys though.
Yeah, I was gonna say it was when Josh was here. He was a highlight guy, but like I like Joe and I liked Al. Those guys were not highlight guys. Joe was not a highlight guy. Solid guy. ISO Joe wasn't. Yeah, to watch him back down and shoot an 18-footer wasn't exciting. Yeah, he was good, but he was not exciting necessarily.
Yes. And Mike Bibby was slow as all get out. When he was here, he was running in creek water. So do you think that this team is ready to challenge for a playoff spot next year, Brad?
I think so. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily, unless you can get somebody that's going to help you long term, I wouldn't be like in a huge rush to go out and like sign a bunch of vets that are going to maybe help you a little bit this year, but kind of get in the way. But yeah, I think with the way that the East is set up and the way the Hawks are playing down the stretch, they certainly could get there next year. You add one or two guys on to just sort of helping supporting pieces and just get a natural, growth from Trey and John and Kevin Huerter and whatever rookies they get. Yeah, they could win 40 games next year pretty easily. Mm-hmm. I think that would be a surprise to really anybody. I'm not sure, until we see what they do, you can't necessarily pick that. But if you look around, even in the division this year was not very good. Like Orlando won the Southeast Division with I think 42 wins, which is crazy. Yeah. So yeah, there's definitely a path for that.
Yeah. So does the East not have a chance in the playoffs?
I mean, I think if Golden State didn't exist, they would. Just I think, for instance, I think I'd probably pick Milwaukee or Toronto over anybody in the West. I mean, maybe not Houston, but Milwaukee's been great. Milwaukee was probably the best team in the league in the regular season. Golden State wasn't trying all that hard, but Milwaukee was awesome in the regular season, and so was Toronto.
Yeah, Coach Bud, he pretty much did a good job up there.
I mean, they won 60. They were the only team that won 60 games, and they earned it too. There wasn't lucky 60. They were Very, very good. So, I mean, if Golden State had something happen or got an injury or just got sort of a fluke loss, then maybe. I mean, other than that, though, I'm not picking anybody to beat the Warriors. The Warriors are still the Warriors until they lose, and I'm not seeing them losing, honestly.
So we had switching gears a little bit here. We had the NCAA championship game Monday night, and a lot of people were predicting a boring, low scoring, I'm not going to watch, but the game actually ended up being very exciting. There was some more points scored, I believe, than people predicted. Brad, I hear you had a little Final Four experience.
Yeah, I was there. I was covering it for Dime and was there from Friday to Tuesday. So yeah, I enjoyed it. Yeah, you're talking about the title game on Monday. It was, kind of crazily high scoring. I mean, everyone. I was actually excited for the game. I still like defense. Those teams play slow, but they're really good on defense. And even I was surprised about how many points were scored because they were still playing. So there's a lot of made shots. DeAndre Hunter was making shots, and Texas Tech started scoring. And I think there was like 160 points total, which is a lot more than everybody thought there was going to be. And granted, there was overtime in there too. But yeah, it was entertaining. A couple of memorable games. Virginia had to get pretty lucky on Saturday to beat Auburn, and then they had to get kind of lucky again on Monday to win it. But that's what happens sometimes. You got to have some luck along the way, and they got it at the right time. But yeah, it was really entertaining actually, and I think the people that were not looking forward to it got treated to a nice surprise.
Okay, so I don't know, if you could really judge this, but if that foul call wasn't called in the Virginia, do you think that the Virginia fans would have reacted and cried, or do you think they would have just accepted that, hey, that's not normally called?
You talking about the Auburn game?
Yes. Yeah,
I mean, having been there were more Auburn fans there, I think, actually. And
okay.
They were not happy at the end.
Yes.
Part of that was it wasn't explained very well in the stadium itself. I know people that were watching on TV knew right away that there was a foul, I guess. But in the stadium, I didn't know right away, and I didn't really figure out that there was a foul call until I saw Auburn not celebrating, and I was like, why aren't they celebrating? And I realized, they called a foul, and I didn't have the greatest angle in the world either. So, yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the day, it was a foul. I think if they hadn't called it, I wouldn't have been that surprised, and I think Virginia fans would have been upset, rightfully so. So it's one of those where I think it was a foul, but you never want to see a game decided on free throws. That's the thing that as much as it's probably the right decision, it's just not an exciting finish to have a guy standing at the free throw line shooting to go to the title game, and he makes all three. And it was just kind of it's a boring way to end the game that was actually really fun. So I think that's part of it too.
Yeah. I think it was definitely a foul. I'm like you. I'd rather see the game not decided on free throws, but I don't like the notion of we always swallow the whistle there. Well, why? Like, why do we swallow the whistle? If a guy is fouled, a guy is fouled. I don't agree with that. So, I think the ref. Yeah, I give the ref kudos. He had the nuts to make that call. You usually don't see that. So
I think if it's like truly 50-50, I kind of side with not calling it. But that one was clear enough where I think you got to call it.
Yeah, he impacted the guy at the apex of his jump. So if he was coming down or something like that, but he hit him still at the top of his jump. So I think he had released the ball. But I think you have to you have to call that.
Exactly. Yeah. I agree.
So the NBA playoffs starting this week. I guess we kind of really already touched on who we think will be coming out of the playoffs. Do you see any surprises? Any upsets? Any upsets from the lower seeds?
The first round, I think if you had to find one that might be an upset, I would look at maybe Portland being in trouble in the West if you had to pick one. And I feel bad for that because they've been better than I thought they were going to be this year. But Portland's playing without Nurkic in the first round. He's their best big man. they could lose, I think, pretty easily. And I think Utah might scare Houston a little bit. I think Houston's probably going to win, but Utah is kind of a weird matchup for Houston. They beat them up last year, but they've been better this year. In the East, it's pretty straight ahead in the first round. The top 4 teams are probably going to cruise. Yeah. I think if Indiana was healthy, it might be interesting with them and Boston, but without Oladipo and those guys, I can't imagine that Boston's going to lose that series. So it might be, boring is the wrong word. I think there's probably going to be a lot of, the favorites are going to win the first round for the most part.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be too anticlimactic. The East is, is kind of, lacking stars in the playoffs a little bit. They're kind of boring. We know everybody knows Kyrie. He's been there before. Giannis has made a name for himself, but how many people really know who plays for Toronto? Nobody know who plays for the Magic. So it's really kind of, whereas the West, I think you can name the team and people know, Chris Paul, James Harden, they obviously know the Warriors. They know these teams. I think in the East it's kind of like, who are these guys?
Yeah, there's definitely some of that. Kawhi, obviously, I think people know that he is there, but at the same time, no, people aren't watching Toronto in the way that they were watching even Cleveland last year with LeBron. So, kind of weirdly, Boston's the most famous team probably in the East, but they've been kind of bad this year. They're still good, but they're not what they're supposed to be this year. Kyrie's probably the most famous player, unless maybe Giannis would be up there now that he's been maybe the MVP this year. But yeah, the rest of the East is pretty quiet. The bottom of the East is just ugly. Orlando was a nice story this year, but Orlando they're not that good. And them and Indiana is pretty anonymous. You got, Miami didn't get in. You got teams like, Brooklyn's a nice story too, but they don't have I guess D'Angelo Russell is kind of famous, but yeah, just not too many casual fan storylines for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Is this year would it, like for somebody to come out and challenge one of the teams that we expect to emerge in the West, that would be like, I'm wondering, there's already going to be the notion that the finals is going to be a letdown, because it's like, the Western Conference finals are the finals, basically. Exactly. How people looking at it.
Thank you for saying that, because whoever wins the Western Conference finals, they're gonna end up winning the NBA. And to be honest with you, it's gonna be the Warriors again. Like I'm not. If you pick against the Warriors, like either you must be a diehard fan of the Rockets or whoever's in it. Like, I'm not a Warriors fan. I'm a Hawks fan, but I'm just gonna sit up here and say, I got my money on the Warriors. Just saying, because I don't really see anybody. I just really don't see any other team stopping them, unless
you're right.
Quote unquote, knock on wood. A couple of their players go down with injuries, but still, they still got a bench that can come out there and play too.
Yeah, you're right, and I think the only way they lose is if something weird happens. You get an injury, or like their locker room blows up if Draymond does something crazy, or if they're healthy, they're not losing. I don't think so. I'm with you on that.
We're hoping that maybe we can see Gordon Hayward, put it all together, and maybe Kyrie can which we know he can do. We've seen him do it before. Put it on his back. I think I don't see the Boston is the only team I see with the talent to challenge. I don't see 76ers being able to do it. Boston is the only roster I see that. And we've seen them do it before. We've seen these guys rise to championship level. So, but just like you said, Brad, I thought Boston would win 60 games this year, run away with the East, and they've been a disappointment. So go figure.
Yeah, and then they might be able to turn it on. You got Kyrie's a playoff guy. So if Kyrie turns it on, and you get some healthy stuff from Gordon Hayward and Al Horford and Jason Tatum, they have the most talent probably to deal with them. And Milwaukee's been really good too. Maybe Giannis is just the best player in the world now, and he'll go crazy. But other than that, I don't really see it.
I don't see, even though they don't play that style anymore, I don't see a guy being able to take over if you make Giannis work. if you're gonna make him work, for 40 minutes for everything he has, who is that next guy from Milwaukee that can take off and that can score 30? That can score 30 2 or 3 times in a 7-game series. I don't know if Milwaukee has that guy.
Yeah, I mean it's Chris Middleton or bust, basically.
Yeah,
I'm not sure
exactly.
I don't think, and I don't think they're gonna find that guy. I really see Milwaukee Bucks are like the 2013, 2014, 2015 Atlanta Hawks. When we brought in Coach Bud, we had things turn things around, and when he became the GM and the president and the owner, and all these titles, he wasn't focusing on coaching. And pretty much that led to his demise here in Atlanta. And, we doing the whole process all over again. It's like every 6 years, the Hawks are in rebuild mode. Like, I'm just sick and tired of can we just build on what we have and try to chase a ring?
I mean, I always thought that I was one of those guys until LeBron decided to leave, that the East was really kind of, so now that he's gone, it's like, hey, it's up for the taking. And I see us being that next team on the rise, and I see that Boston has the roster to be the bully. But I think they can be had like this year. They certainly didn't play up to what everybody thought they could be. I guess I'm just writing off teams like Toronto and Milwaukee because I don't see them having that secondary guy that can carry you in a 7-game series when your star gets a little tired.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to be said for that, to be sure. until we see it from them, you kind of have a hard time believing, especially when the Warriors still exist. The Warriors are just ridiculous, and they have 2 of the top 5 guys in the league, and then 4 of the top 25 guys in the league, and it's still pretty crazy when you say it out loud. Just think about all the guys they have, and there's a reason why they're this good, because they have a lot of guys.
Right. Boogie Cousins a free agent?
Yeah, he'll be a free agent. And
Man,
they pretty much can't keep him. He's going to have to leave based on just weird money stuff and how that all works. But yeah, he's a guy that could be interesting some places now that he's back and healthy again.
Man, Boogie, Zion, and John Collins. I don't think any team is going to want to fight us because we got some guys with some pretty huge shoulders on them that you're not looking to pick on. Yeah. I would love to see if we could go hire. Well, not that I don't like Carr, but if we could hire, I don't know, Chuck Daly has a son, but if we could get some of that bad boy Pistons thing going on, and you come through the paint and we just tear guys' heads off. I mean, I like that style of basketball, so they don't allow that anymore. But you can still send a message. That would certainly be a very physical team. Certainly be a very physical.
It would
team.
Be,
yeah. Thanks for joining us, Mad Mike Sports. He just said no one is touching Golden State. Too much talent and firepower. Boogie is getting in a groove. Yes. Yeah, no, sir. Yeah, I already said that. Yeah, no one's being Golden State.
The only hope is that KD leaves and next year, we can start over. But the gods will give New York Zion and KD, and then we'll be right back like, oh, come on, what are we doing again?
And that's the thing with basketball. See, I feel like when a team is built either in the East or the West, the team builds a superpower, a super team. The other team and just build through the draft these next few years. And it's been like this for the past, I want to say, 10 years. I remember like we had this conversation on the show before, like back in the 90s, like every team had a superstar. Almost every team had a superstar. Now all the superstars want to be bundled on one team. It just takes the fun out of watching basketball. Well, I'll take this back. It takes the fun out of watching NBA basketball because I still watch some college basketball. I still watch my Michigan, my Michigan Wolverines now.
Me and Don have already discussed this. I don't have a problem with it. You're a free agent. I think that guys make decisions more than just based on basketball. So we as fans, we look at like, why would you want to go play with him? So we don't look at KD and say, why would you want to not live in the Bay Area versus Oklahoma City? So we look at guys in basketball, but players make life decisions. So I never have a problem. If free agent, when I go to the park and play, I want to play pick up 4-on-4 with the best 3 other guys. I don't look for 3 sorry guys and say, hey, I'm gonna see if I can ride y'all to a 3-game championship. I want to play with the best guys. So I don't have a problem with it. You're a free agent, go play where you want to play at. I don't have a problem with it. Yeah.
I think you might go to New York now. So that's the one hope. If you're rooting for the Warriors to break up, that's the hope. Is KD goes somewhere else, and he might do it. So
I'm 50-50. I'm 50-50. You know, I mean, because if I'm looking at KD, it's like, yeah, I could go. You know, I guess he goes back to the East Coast. He's from DC. I guess that's closer, but like, I mean, he has a good right now. He's making top bank. He's winning championships. Like, well, I walk away from that. So, you know, I could certainly understand if he stayed.
LeBron did the same thing when he was with Miami. He was winning championships, and he said, hey, I want to come back home and prove it on my own. What's good, Jonathan? Jonathan Fosky. He said if Hawks get Cousins, that would be very good. He said, in my opinion, because we need a center who can knock down that 3. Because Lynn and Demond stay wide open. Huh?
Deadman, yeah.
Deadman stay wide open for 3.
It looks like Deadman is playing with ankle weights on. That dude is so slow. Like, man, like, is he moving as fast as he can?
He's just those guys are. I mean, it's interesting. They want somebody that can shoot, and that's why those guys worked out pretty well this year. Devin and Lynn. But yeah, they're not perfect for long term. They worked out all right, and those guys are okay. They can definitely help you. But I think ideally the Hawks want somebody else to be playing next to John for the long term.
And see, I'm old school, Brad. So these new where 1 through 5 face up the basket, nobody plays with their back to the basket. I mean, I want Hakeem, even though he was great on offense, I want an eraser in the paint. That's what I like, you know, especially since we have so much perimeter scoring. We need that eraser enforcer in the middle, a guy that can reject shots, and a guy that, you know, I mean, because we know Trey isn't the best at staying in front of guys. So a guy that will make you think twice about driving all the way to the hoop when guys get by Trey.
Yeah, they're gonna need that guy for sure. They're gonna need somebody at the rim. I know John's gotten a little bit better at that. Mm-hmm. It's not his strength either. He's not the greatest defensive player in the world. They're gonna need some defense along the way, and center's probably the spot to find that guy.
John reminds me a lot of Josh Smith with his he's a good shot blocker, but great weak side shot blocker. Whereas you know, I go back to Hakeem. I love Hakeem. Hakeem, you would notice Hakeem would block a lot of shots, guarding, you know, basically the guy he was guarding was shooting. Whereas, you know, John, just like Josh Smith, comes off the ball and blocks a lot. You know, not the guy he's guarding, basically.
Yeah, he's more of a help guy like that, like the way that Josh was. So, I mean, and I think if they build the roster the way they want to, that's what he'll be asked to do. It's just that right now they don't really have the perfect guys around him defensively. So that's one of the big things in the next couple of years is finding some guys who are legitimately good defensively. That's something about, you know, go back to the Warriors. You know, Steph's not a great defender, but obviously, you know, Draymond's awesome. Clay's very good. KD's very good.
Good point.
You know, their offense is really good, but you have to have guys that can play defense too. You know, the Hawks have all the offensive talent that you would want right now, but eventually they're going to have to find somebody that can play some defense.
Exactly. So Mike, he said, what does New York have what KD wants?
New York, the city.
and that's why I think that KD doesn't like. I don't think he likes that.
I don't. But New York is not the same. New York is not the same anymore. You know, it just not like, if I'm looking at nice cities to live. Of course, you go choose any city in California outside of Sacramento. Like, you got any city in Texas, you got any city in pretty much Florida, Atlanta. You know, Atlanta's a great place. I'm not trying to be biased, but Atlanta's a great place to live, especially you're a young player. Like, it's always something to do in Atlanta, always. All right. Chicago, no. Not Chicago. Like
too cold, you might get shot.
New York, Chicago, Detroit, those cities have pretty much been on the decline in the past couple of decades. So no. But yeah, Matt, he had that's a great point. What's good, Darren Moore? He said, I just got on here, so excuse me if y'all already talked about this, but he got a question. But what do you all think about center position for next year? And he also said sign Klay Thompson in free agency to play the 3.
We did just touch on that. We agree we need that enforcer here. I don't know who is available. Me and Brad agree that we definitely need that enforcer. I don't know who's available, but we definitely need that guy because Deadman. Land's okay, but Deadman's not that guy defensively, certainly. Yeah.
Let me see if there's more questions that gonna populate up. Sorry, I'm looking at the comments on my phone, trying to figure out how to put it on my computer screen and read it at the same time. It's real. I'm getting a little old. I need
yeah, because don't mess around and share the wrong thing because we don't want to see what's in your phone. Like, yeah.
And then in my phone. but Falcon stuff, Brave stuff, nothing. I promise you. But I guess that's all the questions. I don't see anybody else.
So I'm telling you guys, right now we have the hottest young teams in the city. The Braves, if you're a baseball fan, if you are a basketball fan, the Hawks, we have awesome young talent, and we pretty sure we're going to get another awesomely young, talented player in the draft coming up, possibly this summer. So check on.
We got 2. Y'all got to understand, we got 2 top 10 picks. 2 top 10 picks.
Yeah.
We don't know where we're going to fall at from 1 through 5, but we taking Dallas 9th pick, I believe, from the Trae Young Luka trade from last year.
All right. So, Brad, one more time, let everybody know where they can find you at and check you out at.
Yeah, I'm at BT Rowland, ROWLAND on Twitter, and I run Peachtree Hoops. So if you like the Hawks, so always some content over there. And and also the Locked on Hawks podcast. If you want to listen to more audio, don't leave these guys. Stay on this podcast too. But if you want to listen to more about the Hawks, I host the Locked on Hawks podcast, so check that out as well. Every couple days or so, I have a new show on something, whatever's going on. We should be there and all that fun stuff.
All right, we got 2 more questions. Mad Mike Sports, he said he got a question for you, Brad. What do the Hawks need?
Defense is the easiest way to put it. But, I mean, it's a combination of they definitely need some guys that can play defense, and they need to make sure they stay on their timeline. Like right now, all of their best players are young, and that's a good thing because you want your guys to be young and so they can grow together. But I wouldn't be trying to go out and sign guys who are in their 30s now, because that way, if you sign those guys, they're going to be going up, they're going to be going down while the rest of your team's going up. So looking for guys who are young enough to where they can keep growing with that same core, and they kind of all mature together and become what you're hoping that they're going to become, which is like a contending team. And hopefully all those guys would be near the same age. So I think for me, they got to find defense, because I like Trae and John a lot, but Trae and John are not great defenders. So you got to find some guys to play defense, and some young guys that don't necessarily take away from those guys.
All right. And then the last question for the night from Jonathan. He said, what's y'all opinion on Jackson Hayes, the center from Texas?
He's interesting. I think he's like in my top 12 or 13 in the draft. I think if that Mavs pick, lands in that 9-10 range, he might be in play there. I probably wouldn't necessarily have him at the top of my list. But if you want, he's sort of a high risk, high reward kind of guy. He's not very safe. So if you want somebody that is going to be a solid guy, I'm not sure that's him. But if it works out, it could be very interesting. He's a really good athlete, legit 7-footer, can really block shots, protect the rim, and he'd be a big-time finisher. We were talking about Zion earlier. If they didn't get Zion, they wanted to add another guy that can sort of finish around the rim like alongside John. Hayes would be that. He's more of like a Clint Capella type. That's probably what I would compare him to. like a very nice, two-way kind of center. Probably not going to be a super duper star, but would be pretty solid if it works out.
Solid player. All right. So that is our show. When we're coming back, when we're recording again, Don?
Sunday we're gonna have a special show for you guys. We're gonna have Reggie and another one of our followers. They're gonna come on and they're gonna talk Georgia Bulldogs football with your boy, Coach. I'm just gonna be the moderator. I'm not getting into it because maybe I might have to invite Brad back on. We'll talk some Michigan.
Y'all have a sidebar.
Always have a sidebar.
I know it ain't hometown, but hey,
college football is my favorite sport.
Exactly. But we're gonna come back Sunday evening, and we're gonna talk some Bulldogs football for you guys. If you haven't, like I said, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please subscribe. Please hit that like button. Please comment and share our content with your friends, family, significant other, whoever it is. Please, do that. We appreciate all the support you guys give us. Thank y'all for tuning in tonight. This is the Dunn. This has been Coach and Brad Rowland from Peachtree Hoops and Locked on Hawks. Thank y'all, and make sure once again y'all come back and holla
at your hometown sports podcast.
We out. Y'all have a great evening.